Today I'd like to tell the story of how I proposed to my wife. Now I know most people don't like hearing engagement stories because most of them are given to you without actually being asked for them. However, I want to avoid the boring parts of an engagement story, namely like the romantic stuff like rose petals or saying I love you or the actual proposal, and talk more about how there can be a lot of hard things about proposing. Now, for example, the first one that I'm going to talk about today is meeting your future spouse's expectations with proposals. Now, before I proposed to my wife, we talked about what she would expect for a proposal. The big thing that she wanted was for it to be a surprise, but for her to know when it was coming. This seems a little bit contradictory, and that's because it is, which makes it a little bit difficult. Now, I personally overcame this by giving her presents during the week so she kind of knew when it was coming and could, dress up and beautify, because I guess that was important to her. I guess, when you propose, you can take pictures or whatever. I also lied through my teeth to kind of convince her that I wasn't proposing to her on a given day to make sure she was surprised. I told her I had work on Friday night, so she would think that I wasn't around, and then I wrangled a couple of our best friends to convince her that there was a bonfire going on that night, and that since she didn't have me, she might as well go to that. Really, the bonfire was all me, because that's where we had met, had a bonfire at a park in the mountains. So, that was all my plan. It should have worked too, but this is part of the hardships of proposing. The second hard thing about proposals is that if you're doing things, traditionally, you should probably talk to the family of the person you're proposing to. Now, I did this, but I had some problems with this as well. Her parents are divorced. Her mom has a really hard time keeping a secret, which is a problem when you're trying to surprisingly propose to somebody. And her dad isn't super calm and collected. He doesn't take change very well or unexpected news, which is kind of bad when you're asking if you could marry his daughter. Fortunately, they live in Florida. I live in Utah. So, we had at least 20 hours that if it didn't go well with one of them, I could leave the state before they could even possibly get here. Any case, I called her parents, and each one had their own difficulties. When I called her father, I knew that, he'd be the dad, he'd want to talk about things. So I spent days coming up with a mental resume of husbandness to kind of persuade him that, he should totally give me his blessing to marry his daughter. So as I called him, I'm on the phone, I call, and I just decided to, jump right to the chase. He says hello, I said, "Hey, Mr. Ramos, this is Greg Fahey. I'm calling to ask for a blessing to marry your daughter. And, I know I'm expecting a storm here." And he says, "Okay." And I was like, really? That was it? And I had spent so much time preparing that I even, gave a follow-up question that I normally would never do. I said, "Oh, yeah, is there any concerns, anything you want to talk about? I want to make sure you feel good about this." And he says, "Nope, I'm good. You're fine. Good luck." And so I was like, yes and no. Because I was excited that I wasn't going to get grilled, but I was also upset that I'd wasted hours of mental preparation. Then he follows up with, "Actually, I have one thing." And I'm like, "Yes?" He says, "Just make sure she calls me afterward." And I'm like, "Yep, I can do that. Got you covered. No problem." After that, I called her mother, who loves me, which is understandable. I mean, come on. And she was super excited about it. It was half hour talking about how excited she was, which is nice, but also kind of awkward. And then I had to do, since you can't keep a secret, I tried to swear her to secrecy. I was like, "You can't tell Sarah at all. This is when we're getting engaged. I'll make sure she calls you afterward, but please don't say anything beforehand." She kept that promise. Unfortunately, she told her sons, and one of them called Sarah at 7 o'clock on the morning the day I was going to propose, which kind of ruined my plans, because I was going to get to the last real hardship about proposal that I had was if you're trying to make everything a surprise, getting her to actually come to the proposal. You see, my wife believed me when I told her I was working that night, which is good for our relationship that she believes bald-faced lies. Otherwise, we'd be in serious trouble. Let's face it. So she gets a call from her brother at 7 o'clock in the morning saying, "Hey, do you have anything you need to tell me?" And she's like, "No, go away. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm sleeping." So she hangs up, but then starts adding things together. She does the 2 and 2, like, Friday night, he's gonna give me gifts. There's a bonfire. He says he's working. I'm probably getting proposed to tonight. So she has that mindset. However, she still believes I'm working till 9. I don't know why she believed that at all. She doesn't believe anything else going on. She has work that night, but she's got dealing with all this stress of like, I might be getting proposed to, but I might not. If I'm not getting proposed to at the bonfire, I can't handle this. Also, it's the way she tells it, it was the worst day of work ever. It was long, it went over, everyone was demanding, it was just bad. So by the end of the workday, she just decides, I can't handle it. I'm just gonna go home and sleep. I'm gonna miss the bonfire. I'll go at 9 o'clock if that's when Greg gets off, and then he'll propose to me then. I won't go till then. Now, I've been at this park I'm gonna propose to. It's like on top of a mountain, in the dark, in November. I'm freezing, I'm cold. I've been there already for like an hour and a half before she got off work because I wanted to make sure everything was ready, build a bonfire, have some hot chocolate ready, make sure the ring looks pretty, everything. And then at about the time she should be there, actually, maybe even like half an hour afterward, I don't have good enough reception to get phone calls, but I start getting a bunch of texts from the friends that I've got in on this saying, Sarah's not coming, Sarah's not coming. And I start texting back, you better get her here right now. I'm cold, I want to propose. This needs to happen. So they start texting Sarah, and this is when she starts really getting suspicious, when she starts getting, 2,000 texts all saying, you gotta go to the bonfire. It's gonna be off the hook. It's gonna be awesome. You really need to go. We'll give you a ride if you need to. You just need to go right now. And so Sarah's like, I know I'm getting proposed to now. So she does what every woman does and says, okay, I'll head right up there after I eat and do my makeup and my hair. So by the time she gets through this and gets up to the mountain, I've been sitting in the cold for like 2.5 hours. My beautiful bonfire has completely died. The hot chocolate is still kind of warm, but like it's completely dark, and so it's kind of hard to make hot chocolate. It's just, I'm kind of miserable. I've been thinking about maybe I should take off and just make her suffer now. But I stayed because I'm a good person. And then finally I see a car drive up. 3 people get out, my wife and 2 people who drove her there. I stand up and start walking to them. They see a tall, dark, shadowy figure, and her 2 friends take off. Luckily it was me, because otherwise they would have just abandoned my wife there to die. But it was me, so it all worked out. So we go over there. I've been frozen, so my mental cognition is a little off. Also, the excitement of the proposal moment. I ended up talking about toast. I don't know why, but it led to the proposal. She said yes. It just all goes to show you that no matter what kind of hardships combine in proposal, it kind of leads to a happy ending, and it's all worthwhile. And that's my story. The end.